What up, Bucks fans? We are back. It is Real Bucks Talk, and we are live here on YouTube. Also, catch us on Twitter at Real Bucks Talk. And we got a nice special guest here tonight, and hopefully, fingers crossed, Evan, no interruptions with tech. But again, it's my good friend Evan Winter of A to Z Sports. How are you doing, man? How are you feeling about this upcoming schedule that we're going to talk about?
I'm great, man. We're one step closer to the official start of the season. So how could I be any better? And now we actually get to start planning our falls. So, it can't be better.
Yeah, absolutely. I couldn't agree with you more. And obviously, there's some rumors, or I guess it's kind of confirmed. We've seen like the opening four games with, obviously starting off with the Cowboys again on the road, and then the Saints on the road, and then we had the Packers to start the home schedule, and then the Chiefs followed by that. But what's your thoughts on that? Those first four games, and obviously going to be in primetime TV as well.
Yeah, so obviously it's a daunting schedule. I mean, you have three of the premier teams in the NFL, and then you have the Saints, who have been, the thorn in Tom Brady's side and the Bucs side since Bruce Arians, or rather, I should say Todd Bowles and Bruce Arians. You know how that goes these days. But the Saints that have been in the thorn in their sides in the regular season outside of the playoffs. So yeah, I mean, it's a daunting schedule, those first four games, especially since two of them are on the road, but the first two. But at
Right.
the end of the day, rip the Band-Aid off. Let's get it done. Let's make it happen. And if they can at least just win two of those games, and two of those games being NFC games, the Chiefs game is more bragging rights than anything. But obviously you want to win that game. But either way, if they can just come out of that with two of those wins, with one being over the Saints, as hard as that sounds, then they're in good shape moving forward.
Yeah, let's see if I can. There we go. Get this up here. Here's the full schedule. I don't know if you guys can see that, but obviously, preseason games are out as well. We got Miami to start off the preseason slate at home, and then we have at Tennessee. That's pretty cool for you, Evan. Maybe you'll get to go to that
Yeah,
one.
hopefully that's the hope.
At Indianapolis, which is interesting. That's cool. That's a new preseason opponent for the Bucs. I don't think we've really played them in a while, as far as preseason goes. But as you see here, at Dallas, that we talked about, out in New Orleans, 1 o'clock start for that one. Green Bay, the first home game, and then Kansas City, and then Atlanta. So three straight home games there. Then you obviously have at Pittsburgh, at Carolina, both 1 o'clock starts. And let me see if I can scroll down here a little bit so you can see the rest of it. Baltimore, again, looks like that's another primetime game.
Yep.
Yeah. So,
Hey, do they have? Hold on. So I'm trying to see. Do they have the Bengals? When is that game scheduled?
Cincinnati looks like it's going to be right after at San Francisco.
Okay, so right there.
Yeah.
Dude, how did they not put that game in prime time? I know 425 CBS, that's still, kind of like the game of the week type deal.
Yeah.
But this is the NFL's, their very likely chance to schedule, or guaranteed chance, rather, I should say, to schedule Joe Burrow and Tom Brady under the lights. I mean, nobody knows if he's going to be playing next year. I don't think he's going to be playing next year, whether it's for the Bucs and the NFL, whatever.
Right.
I don't understand how the NFL didn't put that in prime time.
Yeah, no, I agree. I mean, just looking at here, I'm circling this matchup right here, the LA Rams.
Right.
Yeah, I like that one. Again, I like it that it's coming off a Thursday night matchup. You get a little extra time,
Right.
To prepare. And
And
again,
it's
that's
at home.
yeah, and it's at home, 4:25 start, so that's going to be good. And then obviously, the next week we're in in Germany for Seattle matchup, and then you have a bye week. So very interesting stretch there. And obviously, let's see how many primetime games do we have. We got Arizona on Christmas, New Orleans Monday night, so that's two right there. 3 with Baltimore, and then obviously let me see. I have to go back up. Hold on. Yeah, quite a bit. So it looks like at least 4.
Right. Yeah. And if you include, I don't like to include the Thursday night games, but they are technically constituted as prime time. So yeah, I mean, they're getting their fair share, and that kind of goes back to my previous point of this is essentially well, I shouldn't say essentially. That's the wrong word. But this is likely Tom Brady's last year. So yeah, I mean, and with all the
Mhm.
quarterback matchups in regard to premier matchups across the schedule, yeah, the NFL is going to want to schedule him as much as possible in prime time.
Yeah, for sure. And it looks like, I think it was Greg Allman that, brought this up about, obviously probably going to face Deshaun Watson here with Cleveland.
Right.
So that'll be interesting. And then obviously DeAndre Hopkins will probably be back for Arizona. So yeah, I
Yep.
mean, you said it, a lot of great quarterback matchups. Obviously Lamar Jackson, Matthew Stafford right here, and then you get into San Francisco. That's an interesting one that they just put right in the middle of New Orleans. That's a
And I,
Monday night, and you have to go to the West Coast and then come back. So that's a little challenging right there
yeah,
as far as
and
travel.
I figured they might put San Francisco in prime time as well, just because of
Mm,
Tom Brady and Jimmy G. And I know a lot of people out there right now are thinking, well, Jimmy G's not going to be on the roster probably. Then, I
mm,
agree with that overall. But right now is when they make the schedule, and right now Jimmy G is the starting quarterback still. So like I was just following the hype train, and to roll the dice on that, you
mm,
know, the reward is going to be bigger than the risk if you were to schedule that in prime time, and if Jimmy G was the starting quarterback, because Tom Brady, Jimmy G going against each other, I mean, that's like, we saw how much the return to New England last year was hyped up, and granted, this isn't of
mm.
that same magnitude, but still, especially with everybody believing that, when Tom Brady went on LeBron's show last year and was like, oh, you chose that guy over me and all that
Mhm,
stuff, like everybody pointed to Jimmy G. You figured that would be a lot of hype, but
mhm.
you know, put it in that 4 o'clock, that 4:30 slot. Essentially that kind of makes it a primetime game. But yeah, I,
Right.
I figured that would have been another primetime game as well.
Yeah, no doubt. I mean, and when we take a look at this, just overall, like high level, looking into it, obviously the first four games that's going to be crucial to get off to a good start. You want to start at least, I'm thinking, 2-2, 3-1 if possible.
Right.
But then when you look after that, and you talked about this a little bit before the show, like the schedule kind of gives you some more favorable matchups after those first four games, and obviously Atlanta, that's a team the Bucs should be able to defeat both times really. Then you have at Pittsburgh. We really don't know about their quarterback situation.
Right.
Uh, Good defense though. Again, it's always a tough place to play. Play in Pittsburgh. Carolina, again, same thing. We don't know how they're going to look. Um, so there's some opportunities here to get on a roll after those first four games. Obviously, Seattle, kind of in a rebuild, but yeah, a lot of good matchups, and obviously for this team, the Bucs, it's going to start right there with Dallas again at September 11th.
Yeah, and that's, I mean, it rehashes last year's season opener, and you better believe Jerry World is going to be rocking.
Yeah.
But I'm excited for that. And Dallas had a really rough offseason. They lost Randy Gregory to Denver in that whole debacle that went down with that. They lost Amari Cooper. Well, they didn't lose him. They decided to get rid of him, for a bag of peanuts.
Mhm.
And then you've got an offensive line that is not the offensive line that we've known over the last 6-7 years, that brought Dallas back into relevancy uh,
Mhm.
to an extent. So yeah, I mean, this is not the same Dallas team that faced off against the Bucs last year. However,
Mhm.
you could still argue that, and this sounds crazy as hell, especially after how the season played out the way it did. Um, if it weren't for Bradley Pinion in that game last year, who knows what happens?
Mhm.
He made the Cowboys start their drives at like what, the 2, the 5, and the 2 on 3 separate occasions. Only one of those ended up a touchdown, led it at any point. So,
Mhm.
without his, NFC Special Teams Player of the Week efforts, who knows how that game turns out last year?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, that was a wild wild experience. Yeah, especially with the missed field goals, and yeah, just back and forth turnovers.
That's the thing too. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah,
Dallas left what, 6 points on the board. Now, granted, one of them was like a 60-yard field goal attempt right before halftime or whatever it was. But yeah,
right,
Dallas left some points on the board too. So it was definitely interesting to see how it all played out.
right. Yeah, and shout out to Mr. Bucks Nation, James Hill. Hope you're doing.
James.
I hope you're doing well. It's We appreciate the super chat of 199. Thank you. You're doing awesome on your channel as well. I've saw the interviews that you got, so that's pretty awesome. And keep up the good work. But yeah, I mean, just looking at it, and obviously, starting the season off with a bang, and NBC was smart to pull that game, Dallas versus the Bucs. Obviously that was a huge, like, just ratings last year, a lot of money. And now you get, again, Tom Brady and a different Dallas Cowboys team. Obviously they've lost some pieces, with Amari Cooper gone. And, now some guys are going to have to step up. Offensive line is different. Defensively, again, still, turnover heavy type of team where that's where they want to try to beat you, force turnovers, and do those kind of things. But yeah, I'm excited. I really like it. I know a lot of people talking about those first 4 games. I like it as a challenge. I think it's great for this team to, like, really start the season right and really start that unfinished business that they've been talking about. That's been like the mantra all year, and I think it's a good thing.
Yeah, man. And I mean, and this 4 game slate to start off the season is going to whip them into shape, for lack of a better phrase. I mean, they're gonna have to come out of the gate hot. And fortunately for them, over the last 2 years, unless they're playing the Saints in week 1, they have come out of the gate hot. What, you had a 4-1 start in 2020. I think you had a 4-1 start last year, I mean, or maybe 4-2 in 2020. Either way, I know the Bears game came, or the Bears loss came in like week 5 or something like that. But either way, I mean, you've got a great chance to come out of the gate hot. And going back to your previous talking point of how the schedule lets up after week 4, I was able to real quick put together the math in Vegas's 2022 projected win totals, and after week 4, the Bucs are facing opponents with a .412 winning percentage, which is easily, by like almost 5/10, is easily the easiest schedule moving forward.
Yeah, yeah, definitely. Like, and I think you have to factor that in, like you said, because the Bucs facing these tough opponents early on, I think it's great because it gets your team ready,
Mm-hmm.
right off the bat. Like, you have to be, prepared and good to go. And, facing those tough moments early in the season, I think is good. And it can really catapult you, into those November, December months where you have to be more physical, you have to be, stronger, and you really have to, start playing that playoff football, right away. So I think that's the positive, looking at it. Obviously it's going to be tough. You don't want to start like, 0-2 right off the bat, or 0-3. Um, but again, I think this team is got everything in the makings to, get off to a fast start, and I'm excited to see it. But guys, if you're just joining us here, be sure hit that like, subscribe if you haven't just yet. But here's the schedule. I'll go ahead and let me flip it over if you guys haven't seen it yet. So obviously we're talking about the first 4 games. You got at Dallas on Sunday Night Football, and then New Orleans, then Green Bay, and Kansas City, both at home, and kind of prime time slots. 4:25 is pretty much prime time. If you think about it, again, that's the number 1 Fox team. It's like the national game of the week. And then we have Atlanta at home, so you have 3 straight home games there. Then back-to-back road games again with Pittsburgh and Carolina, and then more home games. You got Baltimore, and then the Rams. That's probably my most favorite matchup of the year. I'm highlighting that one because I was at that playoff game against the Rams, and my God, it was one of the craziest games I've ever been a part of. It was unbelievable atmosphere, and I'm excited to get some payback and get the Rams this time. And then you look at, obviously the Germany game with Seattle. What do you think of the week 11 bye? I think that's a good thing.
I'm a fan of post week 10 bye weeks, like with week 10 being included in that, because at that point in time, you know what you're good at, you know what you're bad at, and you can more effectively assess what you need to do moving forward in order to finish out your year as strong as possible. I mean, let's just look at 2020. What, week 13 was the bye week? After that, Bucks come out, they go 8-0, and they win the Super Bowl. I mean, like, and I know it doesn't always end up like that. There are a lot of other factors and circumstances that go into it. But if you have a bye week in week 5, I'm sorry, but you can't sit here and convince me, and I don't mean you, I mean you as in a general statement.
Right.
Like people can't convince me that that's better than a week 13 bye. And like, should we go all the way back to 2017 or maybe 2016 it was, and this is a rather extreme example, but it still holds. Whenever the Hurricane forced the Bucs to cancel the week 1 matchup against the Dolphins, and they had 16 straight games. I mean, dude, like when that happened, I knew that season was done. Like there's just no way to sustain winning football with that kind of stretch. So I'm always a fan of later bye weeks for sure.
Yeah, me too. I agree with you. I think it's it's good for the team. It's just a great timing, like just a nice break there in the middle of the season, which you're going to need. And obviously you can reassess, you can make more adjustments. We saw that in 2020. Obviously with the week 13 bye, and then they went on to win the last 4 games and got hot at the right time, and obviously struck gold with the championship. So yeah, I like it. I think it's a good thing. But let's just go over. I mean, you had something you want to add?
Yeah, let's say real quick, just looking at it too, the one thing I noticed about what's going to be so important coming out of this bye is number one, you're possibly, or probably, I should say, facing Deshaun Watson coming off a suspension. I don't know. There, and this is complete speculation on my end. I think he's going to get suspended for the entire season. I don't know. It just feels like that is, and I know there's been all kinds of shorter, suspension times reported and stuff, or like ideas of it, but I don't know, just based off of everything that happened, how he's treated the situation, how Cleveland made his salary so low, even though I think that also had a lot to do with Baker Mayfield. They had an idea that Baker Mayfield was going to still be on the roster, so they needed to make his salary as low as possible. I don't know. Just wouldn't surprise me if he's on the commissioner's exempt list and he never gets off. A lot like Adrian Peterson never did. But either way, if you look at that schedule, only 2 of those last 7 games are AFC opponents. So the Bucs better be ready coming out of that bye, because if you're playing divisional opponents and intra-conference opponents, especially at that frequent of a rate over those last 6, 7, 8 games, that's huge. And especially with a rough start, if you get off to a rough start, it only compounds you to do better over that span. So could be a lot to look forward to coming out, or a lot to look at coming out of that bye week. What's up, Mark?
Yeah. What's going on?
Long time no see, man.
Right? It's been, I haven't actually seen you in person. Plus has.
Well, I know, but hey, video always works these days, man. I'm glad to get whatever I can of you. Let's just put it that way.
That's the damn. I mean, hey, you know what kids are like. So
way too much. I literally had to put myself in my room like I'm a recluse right now just to avoid my toddler right now. So totally get what you're saying.
I waited for his eyes to shut and I ran in here.
But you got to make sure you don't trip over anything or step on that creaky board. Like once they go down, it becomes like the set of A Quiet Place, and God forbid if you make any noise.
Oh hell yeah! and the thing that comes after you is your wife.
I've got a joke about that, but I'm not going to say it.
Yeah,
just to respect all the wives out there.
That's very true. All right, so give me a rundown. So I'm looking at the schedule.
Yeah.
Talk about, you probably already mentioned this, probably the hardest freaking 4 to start any season off. A real late bye week because of the Seattle Seahawks game in Germany. I mean, I heard you talking about the last AFC games, Cleveland Browns, Deshaun Watson stuff. I agree with you. I don't think he's going to play. Based on that contract, based on you can't just slap a hand. You got to actually kind of make an example of him. I mean, that's
right.
I mean, how is that just going to slide? It doesn't. That doesn't slide. I'm trying to see these other ones. I'm surprised that Joe Burrow didn't get a big primetime game.
That's what I'm saying, man. Like that was like the one thing I thought was guaranteed coming into the schedule release, because this is 95%, in my opinion, the last shot they get at scheduling these 2 guys in primetime.
It is.
Yeah. Well, I will say, I mean, I think with that game, I mean, it's very possible that could be flexed. You could have a
Sure.
potential, flex option with that one since it is, later in the season. Obviously, I think it's, we're looking at like, let's see here. Yeah, like week 15, it looks like, week 15. So,
Well, and to add to that, apparently analysts, whatever you want to call them, they're down on the Bengals right now. Like I wrote about it today. Cynthia Freeland's her algorithm on NFL Network has the Bengals missing the playoffs this year. Yeah, and she has the Ravens as the 4 seed with 9 wins, which means they win the division with 9 wins, which means Cincinnati finishes with 9 wins or less.
Yeah, that's crazy.
That's just wild. But then at the same time, BetMGM has them as over under 9.5 wins on the season. So maybe there's something we are not seeing. I'm definitely not seeing it, but maybe people around the league are a little bit down on the Bengals. I have no clue why, but you never know
what their strength of schedule is as well. Maybe either way, you have a quarterback, wide receiver, running back, and your defense only gets better.
Right. And your offensive line, the weakness, that was the glaring weakness, got better. So in terms of strength of schedule, they're fourth toughest in terms of last year's record. But if you base it off of Vegas's projected win totals for 2022, which is a lot more accurate, they've got like the 7th or 8th easiest schedule, something like that.
Really?
So yeah. So I don't know. I don't know.
0 sense to me though.
Yeah. I
mean, looking up, I guess I don't know if you guys got distracted by this, but the fake account that was giving all these dates out.
Oh,
I was writing them down. And I'm like, how many damn primetime games in a row are we going to do? Like, you can't be doing this. And all of a sudden, I'm looking at it now. Yeah. They're spread out perfectly. It's actually pretty badass the way they did it.
Mm-hmm.
And kudos to whoever created that account. I want to buy them a drink because how they just went scorched earth on everybody today was, oh my God, it made my day. It was absolutely amazing.
He got 10,000 followers in like less than, I don't know, 72 hours or something like that. It was just
Barstool Sports wrote a column on it.
Yeah, it's crazy. And I saw his tweets because I saw I think 620 talked about it and they put it up and I was like, yeah, this is false information, guys. And it was just funny. It was funny just watching him go. I was like, I knew it was fake the whole time, but just people commenting on it, using it as a source, people with like blue check marks that are like verified. Verified people were using it. And it was pretty cool. And it just shows you the time we live in with everyone trying to be first, everyone, trying to get that, instant, story out there.
Mm-hmm. There's a terrible saying going, I'd rather be first I'd rather be first than right. So
yeah, I hate it too. I feel like I don't know if this is every Bucs or not Bucs.
It's the majority. It's the majority.
Every team's fandom, but it's annoying.
Yeah,
I said it first, and then like, no, you gotta tell everyone that I said it first. I mean, who the hell cares?
Yeah,
if you're wrong 9 times out of 10, but you said it right once, like, come on.
Sunshine and dog butts at the end of the
day. We'll get talk about this though. So what do you think about that rematch?
I like it. Yeah, I
love
like it.
Yeah. Well, I remember Plus was talking in our group chat that the best game he's ever been to is that Rams game. I'm not gonna lie, I shit my pants and had a heart attack that first week 1. I was like, we lost the fucking game. We lost. And all of a sudden, Chris Godwin catch, corner.
Right.
I was like, he's going to miss. I'd almost look away. I'm like, yeah, he's going to miss it.
That's true.
That's true. That one was a hell of a good game, too. So, great rematch to see what SMB can do. He got schooled by CeeDee Lamb that game. So, let's see if he can improve, be healthy, and actually show up. Let's see. But that 4-game stretch is ridiculous.
It really is.
I guess.
Right. Yeah. And well, especially when you consider it's, technically 3 intra-conference games plus one, including one that includes one division game. I shouldn't say plus because that makes it 4 games. But yeah, I mean, it's tough. And honestly, they got to win that game against the Saints because there's no guarantee against the Cowboys. There's no guarantee against the Packers. And right now, if you were to ask me if I think they're going to win that game against the Saints, I would say no, even without Jameis Winston, even if he's not ready. I know he said he expected to be ready by training camp, but we all know how ACLs go. It just depends on the player and the person. But we saw what happened against Trevor Siemian last year. We saw again what happened against Taysom Hill, and then we also saw what happened with Taysom Hill the year before. So, I mean, like, I just don't see how you feel any kind of confidence going into that game as a Bucs fan. And I'm speaking from the vantage point of a Bucs fan.
Mm-hmm.
The defense only got better.
Yeah, they got Tyrann Mathieu, and yeah, it's just a tough.
Yeah.
It's a tough matchup for the Bucs for whatever reason. It's just that coaching staff. They know what to do against us, and they execute it to perfection. It seems like everything goes right for them in those games, and nothing goes right for the Bucs. But Evan, I don't know if we talked about this, but what game are you looking forward to the most on this schedule as you look at it, or I guess the one that gets you the most hyped?
Man, that's a really good question. I'm going to have to go with the Packers just because, honestly, since my time covering the Packers, I would say the Packers number one, the Ravens number two, just because I want to see what the new look Ravens are, this year, especially with Lamar Jackson being as mad as he's been over the offseason and him entering his contract year, representing himself and all that stuff. But in terms of Bucs Packers, there's been it's always been battle of the Bays, right? Since we can remember, especially when they were both in the same conference or in the same division. But I think, people have been talking about the Packers all year long. Oh, they lost Devontae Adams. How are they going to do this? How are they going to do that? Their defense is going to be ridiculous. They not only have playmakers as starters on all three levels, they have great depth as well. And they're going to run the crap out of the ball. Aaron Rodgers is still Aaron Rodgers at the end of the day. He's coming off his back-to-back MVPs. Now, granted, he doesn't have that one game-breaking receiver, but who knows what Christian Watson turns into. He still has reliable targets in Alan Lazard and then Robert Tonyan when he gets back. And then plus they have this one tight end that was reserved, and his name's skipping me right now right off the top of my head, but he had 25 catches for about 230, 40 yards last year and a couple touchdowns in Tanya instead. So he's proven to be a decent option at least. I think they're going to be a tough matchup. And now, granted, Rodgers' record in Florida isn't that great. He's never been that great of a quarterback. But that game to me really, really intrigues me because I think the Packers at the end of the day are going to be, again, one of those top 2-3 teams in the NFC or in the NFC in general, despite the loss of Adams. So that's the one that stands out to me the most.
Yeah, no, I agree with that. Yeah.
For me, I'm going to say I got kind of three. I mean, like you were mentioning the Ravens, that talk about a defense going to be insane.
Yeah.
That's an insane, loaded team.
Yeah.
Of course, the rematch of the Rams. I think every Buck fan's going to want to see us slaughter them and see.
That's mine right there.
Right.
That's my number one.
But I know that. But for me, probably, I think the reunion in Arizona at the end of the year, those both teams should be really good. Both at the end of the year, you're almost playoff form. Is this going to be looking for playoff seeding? I mean, at Arizona, I know it's not in Tampa Bay, but just a game I want to watch. Seeing BA and Todd Bowles, Leftwich, all are going back to Arizona with a great Arizona team that's loaded as well. There's a lot of NFC teams that we're playing this year that are.
And DeAndre Hopkins is going to be back for that game too. So
yeah.
Hollywood Brown,
right?
What a damn trade,
right?
Easy man, loaded. So that's probably one of the ones I'm excited for.
Yeah, and Evan, obviously, we appreciate you having you on. I wanted to get your thoughts, and we were talking draft for our draft show, but I want to get your thoughts on the Bucs draft overall. What's your just high level take as you see them here? Let me see if I can get the rest of the names in there though. There we go.
So overall, man, I give it a B-. It really is just a Jake Camarda pick. Excuse me, that sinks it. And I get it. It makes sense. He does punts, he does kickoffs, and he holds the ball, which is exactly what Bradley Pinion does. It's hard to find that much value in a singular player. And if you plan on replacing Pinion, it better be with a player that is efficient at all three tasks, because if you try to replace him with just some guy who does kickoffs and punts but doesn't hold, you're wasting a roster spot, or just whatever out of the
Mhm.
3 responsibilities that the other guy can't do. But at the same time, a 4th round pick, and then it also caused you to trade your 2023 future pick that you gain in a trade, as well as the 5th round pick that you just got in the trade on Zion McCollum, when you could have got him with that Jake Camarda pick, and you could have just sweated it out. I know, Brad. Hey, trust me, this is no defense of Bradley Pinion. No defense whatsoever. He has not been worth it. He is, after week 1 of last year, he was awful. Well, not awful, but very, very inconsistent. You could argue he was a major contributing factor in the playoff loss to the Rams. But at the same time, he's only $2.9 million. You don't need the cap help right now, and it's the last year of his contract. At least you've got a guy that can perform at a certain level at all 3 duties. And honestly, his holds, which you could argue, I don't think it is, but you could somewhat argue is the most important task out of all 3. He was good at. That's the one thing he was consistent at. I don't remember a bad hold from Bradley Pinion. And if I do, please correct me. Or if I'm not remembering, please correct me. But that to me just dropped it, just the whole process of that pick. And people say, well, the Ravens took Jordan Stout ahead of that. Well, guess what? The Ravens had 6 4th-round picks. They could have. It's fine for them to take him. But overall, B-, man. And I love Zion McCollum. He's got the traits. They say traits over production all day long. And as long as Todd Bowles can work his magic on him, that dude has a chance to be a future All-Pro, in my opinion. And they got Cade Otton with the trade back. Still got Logan Hall, even though they pissed off Lewis Seen in the process, and all that good stuff. So overall, it was a solid draft, but they got to make sure it hits because right now, and granted, it's a different time in Tampa Bay. It's the championship window, win now, so on and so forth. So you want to make sure you have the guys out there on the field that can get those results and help you win games. But right now, 3 of those 4 picks, top 4 picks from last year's draft, I don't know how they're going to see the field. Robert Hainsey is now competing with Luke Goedeke and Aaron Stinney and Nick Leverett at the guard position. Ryan Jensen is at center for the next 3 years, which is the entirety of his rookie contract. He's not going to win the guard position, in my opinion, but, I could be wrong. I've been wrong plenty of times before. And then, you've got Jalen Darden is just Jalen Darden. And then who knows what's going to happen with Kyle Trask, especially if he's not even given the chance to compete this year for the number 2 job. Just right now, going into last year, they had to hit on those picks, and right now they're not hitting. So there's a lot to be said in terms of this draft class hitting, and I think they can. Overall, I like it. Just the whole process that went behind the Camarda pick just has me feeling a different way.
Yeah. No, it's interesting because, I think going into this draft, this was a very Jason Light draft. It's like, he went into it. He's like, okay, these are my guys. If I can find a way to get them, I'm going to do that. And, I think, a lot of people talked about reaching on certain picks or this or that. But I think, his ability to trade down, move around and get, quality players, I think, and, quantity as well. And finding, positional needs to go along with that. Again, it was just very Jason Light as far as finding his guys that he wanted, and he made sure he got them.
Oh yeah, for sure. And we even talked about it on the when the draft was first kicking off, how weird it felt that there wasn't a 5th round or 6th round pick in this draft, and that that's like Jason Light saying he loves those later round picks, and sure enough, he found a way to get those picks. So. Overall, man, I like it, and I don't think they really reached on anybody except for Camarda. And at the end of the day, if it's your back end 4th round pick, the 2nd pick of the 4th round, it's not a huge detriment. I just hope it works out. And I've been very, very vocal about this. I think I'm still a firm believer that they need to keep Bradley Pinion on the roster through training camp at least, because if Camarda bombs out, and granted, he's probably not going to. I'm not expecting him to, but
better not.
Yeah, right. If he does bomb out and you've already cut Pinion and Pinion's found a home somewhere else, all of a sudden you're scrambling to rush at the position, and that could really set you back, especially with how badly the special teams performed last year in general as a whole.
Yeah, no, I agree.
my whole thing with the draft. So I understand, play your board, get the guys that you find tried and true, you've looked at, your scouts are banging on the table for. But to me, it's like, so you went into this. What were your holes? Okay, you wanted pass rush inside, you had the defensive tackle you wanted. And who the hell cares who I wanted, whoever wanted. You got that, but you still like literally everything else was offense. What's your strongest side of the ball? I would probably say your
Offense.
offensive side of the ball.
Offense. Yeah, easily.
Just kept going guard or tackle that's going to move over to a guard. And you go over and get a running back. Did we really need a running back third round? I thought that was a reach on that.
That was a bit of a reach too, yeah.
Right. And then you go to tight end when we all assume Gronk's coming back. Maybe he doesn't. Maybe this is a pick we needed then. But if he does come back, then you still have Gronk, Brait, and then Otten's going to be your number 3. And then you get another tight end later in the draft, spending more capital on offensive side of the ball, which hopefully we're turning into a running game, because why are you getting these guys who know how to block, are aggressive if you're not going to run the ball? So we're going to take a little bit off the responsibility of Brady and start running the damn ball, since you got a drafted a running back, a guard that knows how to eat glass, and tight ends that can do the damn same thing. And he drives a tractor to school, I guess. I mean, what are we doing here? My thing is, you got guys that talk really well. They're Buccaneer guys, but I just, the total neglect to looking at your defense.
Yeah.
And the pass rush. Okay, you did one thing right. You lost Sue and you lost JPP. They're not signing back. Doesn't sound like they're signing back. You filled in one spot. You still had 2. And they were aging and still lack of pass rush. You're expecting Logan Hall to step in and immediately do something. Everyone's like, oh, he'll fall in. He doesn't have that much responsibility. No, he's going to have huge responsibility.
A ton of responsibility, especially if you look at the amount of snaps Sue has played over the last two years.
And so we're like, oh, Nacho would do it. Well, Nacho's never had the full grunt of the whole damn snaps either. Never has.
And he's limited too. He's limited as well.
And okay, he's maybe the run stuffer, and then you put in Logan Hall, who is not a good run stuffer.
Right.
He's going to be like a McCoy, who, yes, some people loved him because of his ability to get off the quarterback, but also leaving gaping holes, which is something this defense doesn't know what the hell is about. They're filling gaps, stopping the run, and then covering the pass later. I know Plus and I were talking about this. You're giving a little bit up in the run to get that pass rush. I agree with that, but there still needs to be some other moves, because expecting JTS and Cam Gill and Anthony Nelson to rise to the top and be your elite pass rushers, I think it's a lot to ask. Tall tale to ask, and I still would like an addition on that defensive line. Just me.
No, yeah, no, man, that makes absolute sense, and I agree. And maybe they will make another move. And we still have possible veteran roster cuts coming, in the next couple of months. So maybe they'll be that guy. But at the same time, I completely fall in line with what you're saying.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, and when I was talking about this with Mark, I didn't disagree with him at all. I was just trying to see it as far as how the Bucs see it.
Right.
Obviously, when they're looking at this roster, and you have a lot of good players on defense that are still young and should take that next leap into, progression as far as upcoming season. The secondary should be fine. Carlton Davis needs to take another step. He should. You look at Jamel Dean, he took a step last year. He should take another one this year. Antoine Winfield Jr., same thing. So those are 3 really good players right there that all should be better in the back end, with a Logan Ryan now, a Keanu Neal, who are veterans who can help them out. And then you end Mike Edwards as well. Sean Murphy Bunting is still young. Maybe he gets better playing at one position instead of trying to play both. So I think you look at it from that way. The secondary gets better if they're healthy. And again, a lot of this is health. I mean, you got to stay healthy. You got to have some luck, throughout the season.
Yeah.
Up front, they're counting on guys that got paid. Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, they should be dominant players. They should be dominant every week. And those guys need to step up and play well. And then JTS, you're counting on that guy to be a first-round pick and take that jump. So, I look at it that way, but I tell Mark all the time, it's a long off season. There's still moves to be made. Jason Light is always tinkering with the roster, and there's going to be, I think, more signings to come. And Ndamukong Suh, I wouldn't rule out yet. I think he could still come back, and, just have to wait and see. Again, wait till the roster is set in September, and then we can talk about, okay, let's look at these holes. Let's look at this problem, But as far as the draft process, I'm fine with it. I think they have 4 potential starters in the first 4 rounds. So
Makes sense. Yeah.
yeah.
Well, and going back to Anthony Nelson real quick, he had a career year last year. Maybe he didn't come on till the second half of the season, but at the same time, maybe he showed enough in the Bucs' minds to where they feel comfortable moving forward with him as a number 3 option. I don't know if I would necessarily feel completely comfortable with it. I mean, the flashes he did show, though, were impressive. And a lot of the sacks, I mean, let's be honest. I mean, it was on him. He wasn't a guy in the right place, right time. Shaq Barrett didn't flush the quarterback into him or anything like that. Like, he made the plays on his own. But at the same time, yeah, I don't know if he's the guy you fully want to count on heading into this year, especially, well, let me take a half step back. It is a contract year. Maybe he'll show out even more. So yeah. So maybe he'll show out even more.
Well, I mean, I look at Nelson. He had a great year last year. Again, he's continuing to get better. More playing time for these guys. Again, this is not like a lot of snaps. We're not talking about 50% of the snaps he's going to get.
About 20, 25, yeah.
Right, and that's what I was trying to explain to Mark. It's like JTS and Shaq Barrett are going to have mainly majority of the snaps because those are your starters, and JTS is going to have to just play like a starter. Yes, there's going to be mistakes, obviously, but again, I think there's opportunities for bigger plays made by JTS because he's on the field, and we saw the impact that he can have when he is used as a pass rusher inside or outside. And obviously with JPP, yeah, he'll be missed just because of his leadership, but there's other leaders on this defense that are going to have to take another step, and that includes Shaq Barrett, Vita Vea, etc., Levante David, Devin White. Those guys are going to have to increase their play and be all pros because that's what you're paying them to do. But as far as the process in the draft, yeah, I was hoping they drafted 7 defensive linemen because that's what wins you games. Get as many defensive linemen as you can. Yes, absolutely. But sometimes it just doesn't play out that way. You got to take the player that you like most on your board, and that's why I said it was a Jason Light pretty much driven draft because he did what he wanted to do. They got more physical on offense, and I think that's a missing component that they were kind of lacking, especially when it comes to running the football and blocking, stuff like that.
Yeah, man, for sure.
Funny though is the wide receiver thing. Like everyone wanted more wide receivers. We didn't draft one.
Receivers so deep, man.
They're good at receiver.
The thing is, what if JTS gets hurt? What if Shaq gets hurt? You're gonna count on Tim Gill and Anthony Nelson to.
That's part of the. It's part of the game. It's part of the game.
My point of like everyone wanted more wide receivers.
If Donovan Smith goes down.
Got Josh Wells or
what happened last year,
or Fred Johnson, right?
So, yeah, it's part of the league. Unfortunately, I mean, you can look at every team they're dealing with this kind of same things. So yeah, I mean,
well, and the injury bug was almost bound to hit last year because they were like one of the top 2 teams in terms of staying healthy the previous 2 seasons.
Yeah, I mean, lucky.
You just knew the bottom was going to fall out at some point. Didn't think it was going to happen as badly as it did last year, especially how all the injuries just stacked up one against another. It felt like as soon as they got a major contributor back, they lost 3 more for whatever period of time. But yeah, no, I mean, I tell you, they've got to make at least a couple more moves. They've got the cap space. If Gronk and Sue don't come back, or if just one of them don't come back, that should afford them the space to make these moves. So it'll definitely be interesting to see how things play out over the next couple of months.
Ease my nerves, please. That's all I ask.
Yeah,
I'm just glad they got the offensive line straightened out for the most part. Obviously you still got a question at left guard, but just seeing Tom with the bloody nose or the bloody chin, from the Von Miller hit in the playoff game. And that's how I knew he wasn't fully retired. I was like, there's no way that's going to be like one of his final images of his career. But anyway, but yeah, I mean, like just the fact that you don't have to worry about Tom just getting destroyed back there, that to me solves a lot of worries and anxiety going into the season.
Yeah, for sure. And, again, Evan, we thank you so much for joining us. This has been awesome. Obviously, getting your reaction on the schedule, get your thoughts on the draft as well. But tell everyone how they can find your work, and obviously talk a little bit about A to Z Sports. You got some good content coming up.
Yeah, so A to Z Sports.com. We cover 8 cities right now, 8 NFL teams. We also cover the Dallas Mavericks and the Nashville Predators and the Tennessee Volunteers. So there's a little bit for everybody to dip into. But find me on Twitter at Evan_Winter A2Z. And yeah, come check us out. I mean, like I said, we're always pumping things out. We'll have plenty of schedule coverage, and then obviously the fallout after that. So, obviously get your Bucs news there, but at the same time, if you've got, a particular interest in just what's going around the league, come check us out there as well.
Awesome.
Hey, so Krillin, it's worked the same as it has since 1988 when I was born. So let's just put it that way.
Consistency is key.
Yeah.
And actually, we're more preferred these days. We're like more of a hot item these days. So, political correctness has at least paid off for Ginger. So let's just put it that way.
All right. Well, Evan, thank you so much again, and have a great night. And we'll be in touch soon, I'm sure.
All right, guys. See y'all.
All right. See you. Man.
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm looking at the schedule again, fresh now. And Evan, always good guy, always good content, always good guest, everything. But overall, I still can't believe that damn first 4-game streak.
Right.
And to be honest, I don't know if you guys talked about this. What do you see the schedule or the record being after the first 4? It could be 4, it could be.
Yeah. There's a lot of ways it could go. And obviously, yeah, I have it here. Let me share it real quick. So you got it. All right, perfect.
I'm good.
But yeah, there you see it right there. And yeah, I mean, obviously it's going to depend how healthy we are going into that first week, and hopefully you get out of preseason, pretty healthy. And, I think, minimum, if you're the Bucs fan, you got to be 2-2. I think at minimum, I think that's where you have to go at least. Anything better than 2-2 is obviously gravy. But I think that's like the floor for the Bucs.
I think, to me, honestly, this game, even though it's in Jerry's world, their defense is getting another year together.
Yeah,
I still think they lost some guys in defense. They're gonna have to make up for that. And Tom's gonna be on a freaking mission. I don't care who the hell's in front of him. He's gonna be pissed. He's gonna want to do it. It's just, can we stop them? That's the only issue. And I think defensively, as long as we're healthy at the beginning of the year, we should be able to stop people. I think we should win that. Honestly, I agree with Evan. Like, we suck against the Saints.
Yeah.
And it's our coaches get in the damn way. They try and outthink it from a team that outthinks us. And I don't get it. It should be whoever's a one-on-one, Mike Evans, smaller guy, beat it. Gronk, smaller guy, beat it. Don't make it harder than it is. You have mismatches, use it. But still, I don't – this can be less than a 50-50 because I don't think we – because they're 2 away games. But
yeah.
Aaron Rodgers early in the season, I think it's better to face him early than later. And the Chiefs, their defense is a little bit less based off of listening to Tyrann Mathieu, and losing Tyreek Hill.
Yeah.
So I think, again, that's good time to face them early. So I'm hoping to possibly come out of that 2-2, like you just mentioned. So
yeah, I mean, I look at it, obviously I think the Cowboys is a favorable matchup, actually, when you look at it. I don't, looking at their receiver room, losing Amari Cooper, I think that's a big loss than people are talking about. Obviously CeeDee Lamb is still there, and then they paid Michael Gallup a bunch of money. But yeah, I think we should have a good chance against them. And like you said, Tom's on a mission. I think the offense is going to be ready to go. Hopefully the biggest thing I'm looking at is Chris Godwin, and hopefully Chris Godwin can be, ready to start the season. And that's why they paid $10 million to Russell Gage, because he is a very reliable, number 2 guy. So when you look at that and, look at it, I think it's a good matchup, and I think they can find ways to, exploit what the Cowboys are trying to do. And then obviously the Saints, it's just a bad matchup. Unfortunately, they just, for whatever reason, they can't get by what the Saints are doing schematically, and they can't figure out how to exploit the mismatches that are there on the Saints defense. They just don't want to attack it consistently. And then on with our defense versus their offense, it's really just stopping Kamara. That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
You got to do that first. And then obviously them having Michael Thomas back and now adding Chris Olave, it's going to be a challenge. Yeah, no doubt about it. I think losing their left tackle though, that's a thing where you have to exploit. And then Packers and Chiefs, again, I feel confident about those matchups. I like how we match up against them. So,
Well, and plus, also, didn't the Cowboys lose their right tackle?
they lost some pieces on the offensive line. Yeah.
And
So yeah, it'll be interesting. Again, it all depends on how you're going into that week, health wise and who's playing, who's not. That's why I really don't like to do, season predictions. But when you look at it right off the bat, I think the Bucs have a really good chance of at least getting 11 wins this year. I say 11 to 12 wins. I think that's a good number. Maybe I don't know if they'll match 13-4 like they did last year, but they have a good opportunity to win at least I think 11.
well, at least Brady's
yeah.
your quarterback still. You still have
Yeah.
a loaded ass offense, run and gun, and your defense just do enough to hold them so we can win a game.
Right.
So I mean, going down the roster again,
Mhm.
roster the schedule, we sort of get I guess an easier game with the Falcons, who's rebuilding, new quarterback, new everything.
Mhm.
Hopefully, it's an easier win. And then but it's like one game and then nasty defense.
Yeah.
I don't care who the hell their quarterback is. They got a great defense and they know how to run the ball. That's going to be an area where there could be injuries, and we don't want that this early in the season, right?
Mhm.
Then you get a Carolina team, McCaffrey. That's about it.
Yeah.
But let's see what the heck they can do. And then again, look at this. Great defense. Easy game. Great defense. Easy game. And sane defense. Like back to back. Like that.
Yeah.
The schedule just keeps. Then you go with these two crazy games. And you go to Germany. So it's a lot of. Yeah, it's awesome that we're in these primetime games.
Mhm.
But still, it's a lot on the team.
Yeah. I do like that Thursday matchup against Baltimore because you do get some time after that game. It's like a mini bye week after that one when you face the Rams, and again, it's good that it's back-to-back home games. Technically, this is 3 home games in a row, but obviously the ones in Germany and Seattle, and then you have your bye week, week 11, which is really good. I like that spot, so I think that's a good spot to have it. And then Cleveland Saints on Monday Night Football. Then you have to travel all the way out to San Francisco on a short week, so that's going to be tough there. And then you come back and play Cincinnati. So yeah, it's tough.
And look at that stretch of defenses.
Yeah.
Like that, Myles Garrett, you have fan favorites all over the field on the Saints. Nasty pass rush, Nick Bosa, and the Bengals are just a young up and coming defense. I don't know why Vegas is not thinking they're going to do well. They're just consistent. They have a great middle linebacker. You saw him in the Super Bowl. 2 edge rushers and know how to get after it. Endless motor, and then they upgraded their secondary. So I think either way, even right after the bye, that is crazy defenses you're going against.
Mm-hmm.
And then hopefully you get 2 easy games at the end of the season. But like this barrage of Saints, Niners, Bengals, Cardinals, that's a hell of a 4-game stretch again. And that's almost like the same start of the season.
Yeah, no, you're right. And I mean, when you look at it, obviously it's a tough schedule. I think we had like the second toughest schedule in the league as far as numbers and like strength of schedule. So it's gonna be a challenge. And with Tom Brady probably being his last year, you knew they were gonna make it tough. You knew they were gonna make it hard on him as far as the slate. And but again, it's a week to week league. We don't know how these teams are gonna be when we play them. There's always something happens. It seems like over the last couple of years, Bucs have had opportunities like as far as taking advantage of weaknesses for other teams because they've been hurt or something happened to that said player or something along those lines. So you just never know what that story is going to be of the week, to that game. So I would just, again, open mind, but obviously the only game that matters right now is the Cowboys. That's the only game that matters because that's the first one. And you got to start off fast. And obviously the Bucs know that. And I think it's a good thing. Like I was talking with Evan, I was like, I love it because you get to find out exactly who you are starting, right off the bat. And, that kind of momentum, especially if you can win early, start maybe 3-1 or 4-0, got a great chance to really pick up steam. And I think you'll find ways to get going into the playoffs. And, there's a lot of positives to it. Obviously there could be negatives if you start bad, but
Yes, that was my.
I,
What if we start bad? What if we
yeah,
start 1-4, 1-3?
well,
What happens
then
then?
then at that point, you find ways to, pick it up. And, maybe we'll just have to see how it plays out. But I love the challenge. I like the challenge of it. So I'm excited to see how it comes to fruition. But long ways to go as we, get into rookie mini camp this weekend, and then, obviously OTAs and training camp, and really see what this team's going to be about.
That is 100% what I agree with. Super Bowl or bust, especially if this is potentially Brady's last year. He signed this massive 10-year, $375 million deal. He's getting paid more out of football than he did in, which is insane. It's stupid, but it is what it is. But yeah, do you want to be the teammate of Tom Brady that his last year wanted to go all in and do it, and you let him down? Do you want to be that? So I mean, the players are there, the continuity is there. Put up or shut up, and it's Super Bowl or bust. It truly is, and I like that it's in Glendale. Again, these stories of, oh, what's the best storyline? I mean, what if BA goes back there with Todd Bowles and Leftwich and they win in their supposed old home? Like, it'd be insane.
Yeah.
Pretty badass, actually.
Yeah, it's awesome. And again, I agree. Yeah, obviously this team is going for the Super Bowl. That's the goal. And yeah, it should be. It should be that kind of expectation, because when you look at the roster, it's a very good one. And again, like I was telling you, Mark, it's all about, having the right fortune.
Benjamins.
What?
It's all about the Benjamins.
It's about the Benjamins, but it's about having good fortune, especially when you get later into the season, and everything has to be clicking a certain way. So hopefully this team, and that's why I like the first 4 games, get off to that fast start, and then just kind of let that momentum just ride throughout the whole season. I think that's how they should look at it and try to approach it, and just continue to build off of, getting off to that great start.
This is how we need to start the season. Krillin said it best. We need that Motor City Dan Campbell energy. Bite the kneecaps, whatnot. I thought he was an amazing motivator and a guy you want at the head of the ship. I think he's a good thing for the Lions, and they're drafting well. Let's see what happens this year. But Bucs, yeah, like you said, you got to start off hot because it doesn't get any easier. You're almost needing to start off hot. If you start slow, it's going to be a hard uphill battle.
Yeah.
Brady's your quarterback. As long as he's there, you're in the ship. You're on the way to it. And I know we're here to talk the schedule, but the thing is, what is the one thing the Buccaneers have to do to make sure that they get there, in your opinion? I know it's probably stay healthy, but what is it that it could be a detriment, or it's going to be the thing that got them to the promised land again? What would you say?
I mean, I always tell you this, off air, just coaches stay out of the way. That's the biggest thing for me. Schematically, like, just be smart, go with what works consistently week in, week out. Don't try to change too much. Know your strengths and play to them. Obviously, we're a good passing team. We can run the football at times if we want to. Spread them out, run it out of shotgun, do a lot of different things that way. Use the play action pass, and just keep attacking people. That's really what I want to see. And I think with Todd Bowles as the head coach, you're going to see a more aggression, which I'm excited about. Obviously, that can be dangerous at times, but I like the aggression. I think he's going to try to bring a more physical football team this year, with implementing some running, more running styles, different types of, schematics as far as the run game. But again, it's not going to be major changes. I think just philosophy wise, it's going to be a little bit more balance. And obviously that's what they're going to look for. Defensively, I think you're going to still see the blitzing, get after the quarterback. But the one thing that should take them to the Super Bowl is just be yourself. Don't try to be someone else that you're just not. Play to your strengths.
And that's the biggest thing, consistency. I mean,
Mhm.
that's why the Steelers are usually always good. They don't really change hands too many
Yeah.
times at head coach. There's a one leading voice, and it's consistent. I mean, we have the same coaching staff, same exact damn offense, same exact defensive players. We're adding in a couple here, but
Yeah.
overall, it's the same guys. The continuity should be good. The
Mhm.
communication should be good or better. I mean, Mike Edwards shouldn't be allowing someone to just fly right behind him. Vontae David getting pissed at him.
Yeah.
A lot of these things, especially if he's expected to be number one, Logan Ryan behind him, Keanu Neal behind him, that's competition that he's going to have to know is chomping at the bit to get above him and be a starter. Is it show up or are you going to get moved out of the way? So I think this is actually huge to be in the secondary. There's that much competition back there. I'm just hoping, like I mentioned earlier, we find some other way to add to the pass rush to help that out so it's not sitting in back in coverage 5 to 7 seconds. That'd be terrible.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's one thing last year we didn't have. And to me, like we've upgraded a little bit, but not necessarily all the way there.
Yeah, and I don't think it's about adding one player that's gonna make a huge difference. I just don't see that right now. I think this team has everything it needs to win a championship. I think they're talented enough on both sides of the ball. The progression is going to be made naturally. The coaches are there. They know how to coach this team up. And I think you're going to see progressions from players take that next step. And obviously, that's what the Bucs are banking on. And it's happened so far over the last 2 years with guys just continuing to get better. And I think you're going to see that. I think you're also going to see resurgence of other players that maybe took a step back last year. I'm talking about the Scotty Millers of the world, Tyler Johnsons, Cam Brate, guys like that take a bigger steps, bigger leaps forward and be more consistent. So, yeah, I'm excited for the season. Obviously, now we know the season's out. We have the schedule. Now we can make plans for maybe road trips. We can make plans for, just a lot of good stuff. I can't wait. And, preseason is going to be fun as always, just watching the rookies and, it's always a good time. So I can't wait. And Mark, any last thoughts before we head on out and obviously go Lightning as they're up 1-0?
It's 2-1 now.
Oh, 2-1, man. The scoring's flying up.
So it's a very tight game. But I'm a little upset that New Orleans game is so early. I wanted to go to that at New Orleans. So I guess guys, let us know in the chat and let us know which games you guys are going to go to that are away. It'd be kind of cool to go to. I mean, other than that, we got our schedule. We know who we're facing week 1. Beat them damn Cowboys. And let's have a great damn year. I mean, Tom, do your thing. Get to the ship. Just make your elite status even more elite. He's going to come in unfinished business, and he's going to look to finish it. And I can't wait.
Yeah. I echo those thoughts. Andrew, thank you for the super sticker. We much appreciated. Always a good friend of the pod. So, awesome stuff.
Thank you.
But yeah, we're excited. We're ready. And with that said, we got a lot more content coming up over the next couple of months. We're going to dive into 2023. Yes, 2023 draft prospects. I know it's an early start, but again, we're building that database so you guys are informed about these players. And obviously, we're going to have some more live streams over the next couple of months talking about this team, talking about OTAs and just news that pops up as we're going to see it. So it should be a fun time, especially when we get into training camp and preseason. And with that said, everyone have a great night. Go Bucs and enjoy the Lightning as well. Go Lightning.
Oh, yeah.
All right. Good night, everyone.
Go Bucs.